Alright, we're back. We're going to make the top agar on the rest of our plates with the other strain that we have. Now one thing I forgot to mention, which is dumb of me, is top agar is called top agar for a reason. It's because you put it on top of a normal agar plate. This is so that you can, I guess, conserve top agar, conserve culture. I've actually done experiments where I just use the top agar as a plate and it works just fine. But in this context, just to be safe, I'm going to do it on top of the actual plate. So top agar on top of plates. Okay, so we have our other strain, which again, DH5 alpha, DH10B, MG1655, MC1061 with C1 TRA-R. And we have the minus condition and the plus condition. We're going to be adding its ligand, and hopefully that will make it dimerize and protect it against phage. And so let's just get started. So here's our minus condition. I'm going to flip these over. Give a little bit of room here. Pull off the tops so they're all right side up. And I reheated this just a little bit. It was getting cool. So in that break, I just went back and gave it a couple 5-second bursts. You're going to feel it. Pretty nice and warm. Wouldn't want to hold it like this for too long. But it's good to go. It's not going to harden on us. You don't want it to, the danger is that when it gets too cool, and you put a pipette tip on it that's been sitting in the air conditioning all day, sometimes it'll just go halfway up the pipette tip and just stop. You'll get chunks. It's just bad news. So you want to keep it relatively fluid. And again, as I mentioned in that last video, you always want to be sure that you want to inspect your pipette tip, make sure that you're getting kind of a consistent draw of LB agar or top agar, so that you're not putting more or less top agar in all of your plates, because that'll change your results, that'll change your cell density. And you want to be very careful that you don't touch your top agar to the tip of your pipette tip, because that's going to be massive contamination. So in that spirit, I'm just going to give a quick little flame sterilizing to the top of my pipette, and we're going to move on. So, minus condition, 100 microliters in our P200. We're going to put down, I'm going to again shake this just a little bit, make sure that our cells are not just falling to the bottom. Okay, now I'm happy with that. I'm going to pull up 100 microliters. I'm going to put it across the top. And then we're going to grab our P1000 and pull up 900 across. Eject tip. Oh, put that down. And then back and forth. And it seems to be nice and even. Again, I'm just going to go back and forth, rotate back and forth until it seems to harden. And we're good. Now, one thing you might notice is that I'm doing this sequentially. You might ask, well, how come you're not just putting 100, 100, 100, 100, and then your 2 mils of top agar and then mix them? So a couple reasons. I'm not putting all the bacteria down first because these plates have been drying for a little while. So what's going to happen is they'll just suck in all of the culture, the liquid, like the LB, and then you're going to start to get that culture drying and hardening on top of the plate. If you've ever seen a coffee stain, it'll look kind of like a coffee stain. And so then when I put in my LB agar, or my top agar, it is not going to mix with that culture. So we want to make sure that we're getting very good mixing, which is why we're putting the cells on so they don't have a chance to dry and harden. And obviously I'm not going to put the top agar on because it would just harden, and instead of getting a nice top, nice smooth even plate, I just kind of get a lump of top agar. Okay, so let's continue. So 100 microliters, do a little line, and 1, 2, being very careful with that pipette tip. I'm going to grab it, and then back and forth. I don't know if you can see that. So we got a bubble there. Just gonna nick that off. I'm getting a little crowded here. Okay. Microliters. line. That was kind of a stubby line. P1000. Draw off our top agar. Always being careful to inspect with my pet tip. It might not look like I'm looking at it, but trust me, I actually am. I'm going to be very careful. And I'm always, when I pick it up, I'm feeling the bottle, feeling that liquid part, making sure that it's still warm. Last one of the minus condition. So 100 microliters, checking out my pet tip, P1000, putting it in, feeling the temp on that top agar, pulling up my top agar, looking at my pet tip, making sure it's about right. Again, I'm also spreading this from up high, so I'm not going to get any contamination. Should have put a top on that one. And then mixing it back and forth. So this one has a few bubbles in it, so I'm going to flame it. And this one is hardening up on me. Oh no! Okay, so this one, for whatever reason, hardened up on me real quick. Oh, let's see if I can save it. Oh! Looks like we saved it. Okay. So what I had there was kind of like one little, it's like the opposite of a bubble. It's like a little clearing where it's, I guess the agar just missed for whatever reason. Okay, so we're good here. And we can stack these all up, get them out of the way. I'm going to test my agar. Still relatively warm. So now we're going to add in our ligand. So where's my... Go. So this one's a little bit more concentrated, so I'm actually just going to add about 10 microliters in. I'm going to use this as 1000X, and this is AHL, suspended in DMSO, so 10 microliters. We'll go straight into the center there, mix it up. Plates over here, flip them all over, take the tops off, and I'm just going to zip through these ones. Oh boy. 100 microliters. $100 microliters. $900, $1,800, eject tip, back and forth. P200, we'll shake 100 microliters, go line across, $900, go across our line once, go across our line twice, rock back and forth in the direction of that line, that'll mix it, and then get rid of any of those clearings. Good. Last one. Microliters, going to line across. 900, 1800. Rock back and forth across that line. We'll try to get those clearings all covered in top agar. Oh no. We may have an example of a bad plate here. Nope, yep, this is going to be a bad plate. So I think what happened is, oh, can I save it? Maybe. No, I cannot. Okay, so let's take a closer look at this one. This is what to avoid. I don't know if, let me come back here. So if you can see this plate, right about there, you can see that there's this kind of clearing where it's right there. See how it's open? It's just the original plate. That's because all of the top agar solidified before I could rock back and forth enough in order to cover that area. So I'm just gonna have to avoid that. And this plate in general is just kind of ugly. There's a lot of hills on it. Again, the top agar was sitting around on that last plate for the longest, so it was cooler. And because I was taking out more and more, the volume was getting bigger, so not only was it have more time to cool, but it was a smaller volume, so it cooled faster. And so then when that happened, you get an ugly plate like this. That's fine, we can still use it, we can work around it, but you just got to be a little bit more careful when you're pipetting on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of neaten everything up real quick, get everything out of the way. I'm going to cover up my culture one more time. Woo. And bring my flame out a little bit closer. I'm going to just let everything dry for a little bit. So everything should be hardened, but I want to make everything a little bit dry right now so that when we put our phage on top of it, it won't just spread out. The phage spots will stay where we want them to. So, good sterile technique. So we get a little bit far away from the flame, but that's okay. And we'll be back in a little bit. We're going to do our serial dilution on our phage, and then we're going to do some spotting, and that will conclude today's work, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like tomorrow. So thanks, we'll be back in a couple seconds.